We've got, Jenny Teal.
Yeah.
He went without paying her for 9 months.
Well, he went without paying me for a couple of months too, but I got it.
Yeah. He paid her, and then he advanced her another year. We've got the records on that.
That's right.
But, for people to stay with a man that long.
Oh, that's right.
He must have known he had pretty good character.
You're doggone right. Well, he had $19 million to Henry Ford when he went to Marysville,
He cashed out.
That's right.
But, I can't imagine. Did he call you in and say, hey, Rex, I can't?
He told me that, yeah, one morning, got up down. He couldn't see where he could, keep me on long. He said, where's your mother?
Did he ask you if you'd work on credit, or did he?
No, but I told him I wouldn't. He said, but I said, well, I'll stay around, don't worry about the money,
Everybody knew he was a pretty...
Oh, yeah. But he was such a good man, too. Everybody liked him. No. She was an actress.
She was an actress?
Yeah.
Oh.
Mary Coyne. Then Mrs. Will's mother would come up from Florida. So she was a wonderful old person. And I know I was going with this girl on 4 years at the time up in 13th Street. And she wanted me to go up and get her. She wanted to go to Detroit the next day down in the townhouse. And she had this girl right in the back seat, back in the town car, and chatting away there. And when they got down there, she had her in for tea,
Well,
Yeah.
Do you know this fella? I think that was taken in the pool down in Jefferson. I don't know. Nobody knows who he is.
Yeah, that's familiar. Well, this was taken in Detroit?
I think so. Or, these folks. Nobody knows who they are.
Oh, look at the clothes they wore those days.
There's old CH on the steps, playing on a kiddie's tricycle or something.
Oh, that's him, I imagine.
He's young, isn't he? Now that's
there's you. Right in the kiddie car for crying out
he
loud.
is. That must be just before he came to Mary's.
Must be.
Maybe even while he was still at Ford, because he's so young.
You see, with these clothes that they wore in those days, my gosh.
Yeah.
But that's the old man, all right.
This is going to go in the capsule. This is Baby Gar in the Detroit River in a race.
Oh, yeah.
The metal slides, the glass slides, they, when you print them, these aren't negatives, these are positives.
Oh,
so
that's right.
you've got to take a picture of this and then take a negative and print that, because that's what we get. It doesn't evolve for us.
Yeah.
But, one fellow in town had this in a garage. He said his dad said that when he worked at Garwood, he went down to Detroit and they took these. So we got to put that in.
Boy, the old man is sure young in this picture, right?
Yeah, he sure was. Now, I don't know if you've seen these or not. These were something the Marysville Land Company printed up trying to get people to come into Marysville.
Oh, for crying out loud. There's the old Will's plant. Yeah. Well, boy, this is an old timer too, isn't it?
Yeah, that's 1920. Yeah. How about Bradbury? Did you know any Bradburys?
I don't remember.
J.F. Bradbury? I think he was a building contractor. He had Will's cars and he lived in Marysville.
Ready? Huh. Well, that St. Clair Ace-Hole Rubber Company, that's been there long before Will started.
The St. Clair?
Yeah.
We
used to call it St. Clair Ace-Hole, didn't they? Yeah, here's these houses.
Right. And then, of course, Morton Salt was there.
Well, that's on the River Road. I remember that place. Yeah.
That's outside of the church.
No, that's outside of the Jefferson Avenue mansion, the townhouse.
They used to call that the Dream City. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, in 26, when the basketball team was going to state championships, he rented a bus.
Did he?
He had all the way with CH in the Dream City or something.
Yeah, the Ace-Hole Rubber.
But when you see these, how about a fellow named Chuck Booz?
Chuck Booz used to be salesman.
And here's an old letter.
Is that right?
We know that they closed up in about late 26.
Yeah, there's the old Will D there too. Imagine that.
And What I think is really neat is the last couple lines. He's telling this fella, a dealer wrote this letter and said, "Hey, what do we do? Are you making cars or do you fold it?" And he more or less tells them we're still making cars, but it's hard to tell what way it's going to go.
Yeah.
The next to last sentence, he says,
God,
he
1926.
says, "We advise you to get rid of whatever you can." In other words, the writings on the wall.
I remember that A.H. Mormon, the vice president. Yeah.
Was he from Detroit originally?
I don't know. But that Carol, that Booth, his wife died last
Just,
week.
yeah.
I was getting the free press. Yeah.
Well, we got that letter about a year ago from a fellow in New York, and I sent him copies of it. Chuck was at the meeting. He spoke at the dinner.
Yeah, he used to be a good-looking fella.
That's what everybody says.
Oh, yeah.
He's real sharp.
They got
Real
fashion
sharp.
place,
So
yeah.
is my husband.
Looks like a movie. Looks
I
like
know
a
he
movie
was.
star.
It is.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know
God.
exactly how old he is, but
Yeah.
you know, most of these people, man, that we talk to are not too sharp anymore. You know,
That's
It's
right.
Really, really amazing. Well, I've had Bill Ellis in particular. He says, "Old Rex Preston." He says he grew up in Marysville. He says, "I can remember him driving those cars." And he says, then he says, everybody wanted to be one of two things: a fireman, or one of three things: a
Yeah.
fireman, a policeman, or a chauffeur.
Yeah.
And he said, "I wanted to be a chauffeur."
Yeah.
He says, "I'd see him with those boots." He said, "His boots were
Yeah.
always shining, and that hat."
Boy, that was the best stuff too, that those uniforms, you know.
And he said he'd go by and he'd beat and wave once in a while.
Greg.
Well, you know, when Ronnie and I were there at that last meet, I run into a guy there. There was one of the kids that I used to pick up to take Jack and Judy to the movie in Fort Huron.
Is that right?
Yeah, he remembered me right off the bat. I forget what his name was. I'd take the Jack and Judy, you know, Tuesday nights a week up to the movie. And all their friends, you know. Sometimes I'd have a whole gang.
Did they pay their way for their friends, or?
I don't remember. Yeah, this is something.
But you know, we're trying to figure out exactly when the last cars would have been made, but it must have been December. It must have been pretty close.
Yeah, I think so.
We know none of them are titled 27, or none of them titled 27. But they say that they stayed in the plant for 2 or 3 months and put together the last cars just from pieces they had already made.
Mm-hmm.
And other people tell us they padlocked the plant and that they couldn't have got in there. So, would you happen to remember anything about that? Or?
No, I don't remember about that.
Did CH go to the plant most every day? Or?
Yeah, every day. Sometime on a Sunday you get on it.
I know they say that he was a fanatic about working late.
Oh, he was.
Working straight hours. You know, sometimes going for 12
Yeah,
hours,
that
24 hours.
Chuck Booth, hell, he was the old manager.
But he
Yeah.
was really tickled at that.
Yeah.
At that tool. But let's see, the ones I think you'll probably really enjoy the most are the old ones that we reproduced to put in the time capsule.
Oh.
They're of the first buildings and things.
Oh yeah. Pictures, huh?
Yeah. These are all from picture books that Mr. Wills had made up.
Oh, is that right?
There's some of them building the plant. Is this Mr. Jewett that, I know it's Mr. Jewett. It says Mr. Wills and Mr. Jewett talking the day of the community wreck construction. That was a building they built in a single day on the River Road.
Okay.
But we were always wondering if Jewett went down and built the Jewett car.
The Jewett 6.
If
That was
him.
built by Page Detroit Motor Car Company. And I think by golly it was.
We
And
wondered.
that Jewett was a lemon too.
Yeah, that was
Oh man, my dad had, when he drove up here from Detroit, you know, the thing broke down up here and he sort of rode a train back.
There's a real good picture of the side view of the plant. The
Yeah.
sidewalk that used to go over there.
Right out loud.
And we don't know what these are. Are those heat treat ovens or what? Or stokers or there's something in the plant. We don't know what they are.
God, I don't know.
And here's a picture of the inside of the community houses, those Lincoln houses. They were
Oh
nice.
yeah. Oh, they sure were. Fireplace, I would imagine that.
Yeah. Here's the
Well,
old
they built those in a hurry, you know.
yeah, the old boat livery that sat down
Yeah.
on the dock was
What the devil's his name now?
Hardy or
Jimmy,
I don't know.
God, I can't think of his name. I used to go on and buy pickle for the cook there, you know, 30 cents a pound. Imagine that. Jimmy Hartman. Yeah. He owned that boat livery.
Here's Bunts Creek that flows right underneath
Oh,
the
is
Edison
it?
now.
They're crying out loud.
They filled that all in, you know, when they built
They did,
this.
eh? Because you talk about the Bunt Creek, man, they think you're nuts up here now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Here's the Urani.
Oh, yeah.
By one day, the cars were heading
Loud.
That must have been from an airplane, because look at how high it is.
Sure it is.
And there's those community buildings.
Yeah, there's
on
Stag
River
Island
Road.
over there, isn't it?
Now, you know, we can't figure out how many community houses they built. On River Road, there were at least 3. And then they built some in by the high school and behind
That's right, there was 3 or 4 there.
that were painted white.
Yeah?
Somebody told me he thought there were 10 altogether, but I've never really heard. Which were which? They called the white ones the Lincoln houses, right?
I don't even remember that.
Those were the ones, they had 3 of them sitting like this, and they were
Yeah.
back in for a ways. You'll see them in here, I think.
No, no. But that's Stag Island there, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Here's some of the machinery and stuff inside.
Yeah, well, we've got another picture of it, right.
We've got about 250. This is only some of them.
Exactly.
I forgot some of the others I wanted to show you.
Man, that's a good picture of the old man. That's you there, though.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, that was February 21st, 1920. First public holiday. They had elections that night. They built a great big cafeteria, dance hall like thing. You'll see some pictures of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember it, called the Community Rec Building or something.
Oh, yeah, I remember
I
that.
guess they had meetings there. They had a group called the Half Shell Club, which was like a fraternal society or whatever.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
no, I don't think so.
Something like the Elks. Or,
That's an ironic, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
There was 3 of those, wasn't there? Noronic, Hamonic, and Uronic.
Yeah, and they all burned or sank or something.
Yeah. Yeah, old Marysville.
But I'll never forget, you know, just before the meet, we were trying to get together as many people as we could, and somebody said, well, what happened to the chauffeur? I said, I don't know. We don't know where the chauffeur and the butler are. And Kenny called about a day after that. And he said, did you know anybody tell you about Reg Preston, the chauffeur? And I said, only that we knew who he was and that nobody knows where he is now. And he says, well, I do. He gave me your phone number and all that.
Yeah, he's quite a guy, Ted.
But,
Yeah, the only ones I like that.
yeah, right.
Oh!
Well, I met him
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
in Detroit.
Now, how did you two? You were down in Detroit at the time?
Yeah.
Are you from Detroit now?
Yeah,
And he was driving then? He was chauffeur then for Mr. Schmidt?
yeah, for Schmidt. Yeah.
But you weren't children.
No,
That
I,
was the depression. Whammo. You married in 32, I think, August.
God, look at the old tractor there. Imagine that.
That's a Portland gas tractor.
Oh,
made
is
by
it?
Portland Thrasher.
Man.
Will's bought 3 of
There's
them.
the old Marysville Saving Bank that John Barron is president of. Imagine that. Look at that Model T on. For God's sake.
Some
Well,
of
that
them,
was taken in 1919, see?
yeah. Some of them on the back we've written what
Yeah.
notation the first.
Now there's one of those barracks, right?
Yeah, that was the ones behind the high school.
That's right. I remember that.
They were considerably better looking than the ones on the River Road.
Yeah.
They were fancier. And we got pictures of them blasting the sewers behind there. and,
Crying out loud. Huh.
What was I gonna say? Oh, how did you two meet? Was he working when you met him? Or?
Yeah, I think it was, wasn't it?
Some girl introduced me to him.
Yeah. Some
Happy
party
day.
somebody.
Did he sweep you off your feet in the chauffeur uniform? Or
Very
whatever?
persistent.
Persistent.
Now there's those
We only went
again.
together
See?
2 months. That's how persistent he
Is
was.
that right? How about that? You must have decided it was time to settle down.
Yeah.
He would get a little worried about it.
Got right to her.
Now what the devil is that?
That's the community rec building they built in a
Oh,
single
is
day.
it?
Quite sure.
Yeah. Built a single day.
Now, there was a cafeteria too they mentioned somewhere. That's moving steel. But somewhere they show you the inside. That's the inside of that building. That night supposedly.
Crying out
In fact,
loud.
you'll see old CH up on the roof helping drive.
That's right.
In fact, the film.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna show
remember that.
you- The film I'm going to show you is the day they built that. Oh,
That's right.
this is the same thing. That's the inside of the rec hall they built in a single day. They picked one of the coldest days in the winter, so I hear. They had a parade down to the park, from the park. to
Well,
the
there's
theater.
the old Marysville Land Office.
Mhm.
Now what the devil place did that used to be?
I think the Carlton House, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, that's it, but God.
Or maybe the old Mac.
I remember that Martin house there too on that pole.
Now the DUR came right in behind that, right?
Yeah, that's right. God, look at the men on the roof of that thing, would it?
Yeah, they had like 400 men working that day.
Man,
It's really quite the deal.
that's quick again.
Let's see. I thought I'd grab more things, but most of them were at school. This is all I had at home.
Yeah,
Well, I was only 19.
yeah, I'm quite a bit older than she is.
No, he isn't. Really.
Huh?
Now he isn't. At the time that
Well,
he
I'll
was.
be 73 the end of this month.
Now he's younger than I am.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me just read a list of names of employees and just let me know if you knew them and what you knew about them, okay? How about Albert Hartel? Did you know Al Hartel?
Yeah, it seems like I do.
He worked in experimental for a while. How about Ernie Fleury?
Yeah, yeah,
I guess he was a machinist, pretty good.
I think so.
Of course, there's Rex Preston. Martin Beebe.
Martin Beebe.
How about Shepherdson? There's a John Shepherdson and a Jack Shepherdson.
What department if I can...
Inspection, machine
Oh.
inspection. There's a guy named Hamilton. They called him Mark Hamilton. Ambrose Wilson. He's from St. Clair.
Is there Cosgrove, Ralph Cosgrove on there?
Not Ralph, but Norm. Norm Cosgrove was a metallurgist and helped build the plant.
Oh,
He just died a little while ago.
oh, you do that.
His brother worked there too, Cosgrove, so maybe that's his
Well, I
brother.
think he was in charge of the grease department there, you know.
Police department.
Yeah.
How about Carl Brenner? He was a tester.
Yeah,
Road
yeah.
tester.
I remember him.
Along with Lane, is it Bob Lane? Was it?
Bob Lane?
There was Potter, Brenner, and Lane. Those are three that a lot of people tell me about being testers.
Well, Bob Lane, I remember Bob Lane down there working at the Wills Sales or Wills Service in Iron Bar, Detroit. He was a mechanic. And
Yeah.
He was a great, good transmission man, you know. And later on, he opened a garage in Fort Huron up on 10th Street, I think.
Right.
That's the same one.
Yeah, he's still around.
Is he?
He was at the meet. Probably didn't have a chance to talk to him.
Oh,
Wes
is that
Bragg,
right?
of course. A guy named Hicks, Bill Hicks, John Conroy, Russ Atkinson,
Yeah, that's familiar.
and Bill Bassett. Bill
Yeah,
Bassett.
yeah.
When they were blowing stumps, he got a piece of stump on his head and left a big old gash.
Wow.
In fact, I guess he had early brain surgery, I guess.
Oh.
How about a guy named Joe Johnston? He was a tester too, apparently. He's on 10th Avenue. Of course, you know Judge Fred Snell.
Yeah,
Chuck Link, Charles Link.
yeah, yeah.
He was in the sheet metal fender
And that
department.
Tony Pillardo, wasn't he a tester too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how about a fellow named Ernie Matt?
I think I remember him.
He bought, and he's got pictures of the record car, the one that went coast to coast.
Oh, has he?
He bought that old car.
Oh, he did, eh?
I guess Mr. Wills,
But Doug Denning was in that bunch too, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. And a guy named Wasmuth, Andy McWasmuth, and Theodore Martin. He was in Final Cleanup.
Oh, I remember Ted, yeah.
Yeah, Ted, he just said he wiped it down and made sure that a car didn't leave the plant.
Yeah, I used-
scratch and stuff.
Sometimes when I wouldn't be ambitious enough to wash our own cars up there, you know, I'd take them down to the factory, you know, to stand Ted.
Have
Yeah.
Ted do them.
Yeah.
He said that some of them went out by boat too. though.
They did,
Some by rail, some by boat.
that's right. No hauliways at all. No, truck hauliways.
A lot of people.
But did you know that those Wills bodies are trucked up in Detroit
No.
every day by the Smith Trucking Company, Fisher Bodies, yeah. Because I knew one of the drivers at Smith Trucking. His name was Dewey, and he had one arm, and he had a hook, you know, on the other. And you, boy, could that guy handle a truck. And those old chain drive Macs, you know, those things are tough steering.
Yeah.
That guy was a regular artist, no kidding.
Huh. How about
He worked for the Smith Trucking Company.
some of them were made by Gottfredson too. Was that Mount Clemens? That Gottfredson?
Galveston,
body?
they made trucks, didn't they?
Yeah.
In Detroit and Grass Avenue.
There's some Gottfredson bodied Wills cars today.
Yes, sir.
So they must have made only a few, but
Well, they must, yeah, I never heard of them.
and then that Buffalo outfit made some too.
And the Watertown, New York made some too, Babcock bodies.
Babcock. That's
Babcock,
And
yeah.
Phillips body.
Yeah, Phillips, that's right.
They're kind of rare. They had a different type of window.
Those Babcock bodies were not bad.
How about Murphy? Did you know Neil Murphy?
Yeah?
The Murphys? And Danny Murphy, is he the one that got killed driving to Saginaw?
I think so.
Touring car?
I think so.
Rolled her over or something?
Yeah. Does it say anything about Doug Deming there?
Yeah,
Does it?
and Claire Cogley,
Yeah, I know him.
and
I knew him.
John May, Lloyd Stevens, and Norm Roski, Bill Miner, he was a Finnish tool.
Yeah.
Of course, Chuck Booz, George Thomas, did you know him?
Yeah, I think so.
Military Street, and Goshnick and Inglegow, and Gusky, Al Gusky,
Uh-huh.
George McMorran, Harold Pettingill.
I knew him. Remember him.
He lives right down the street from me.
Does he?
He's an electrician, a retired
Is
electrician.
that right?
Art Garner, or Gardner in the paint department.
Yeah, yeah.
Supposed to be a foreman. He worked with Buck Morton,
Yeah.
the two together.
Well, Buck Morton is dead, you said?
Yeah.
Oh.
Bob Lane, for a while, went to Montreal as a troubleshooter. Traveled
did he?
around the country.
Well, you know, Will St. Clair, they had, they call them roadmen. They had 8 or 10 of them. There was Johnny Schenck, Slim Falls. Well, there was 8 or 10 of them. They just traveled, all expense paid in the factory. And then, like, people having trouble with their car, you know, the local garage getting fixed, they'd send one of those factory men.
They'd have to be the best mechanics.
That's right, and they were. That Johnny Schenck, boy, that guy he was a real mechanic.
S-H-U-N-K.
S-C-H-E-N-K. S-C-H.
Now, whatever happened to him? I heard that
I
name
don't
an awful
know.
lot.
And Slim Falls, F-A-U-L-D-S. And didn't Tony Pilardo have a brother?
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe and Tony.
I'll be doggone.
Then there's a Recor, Carl Recor.
Yeah, well, there used to be that Recor Ford tail of St. Clair. Remember, I bought a Model T from him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's a Rickett, and a McPherson, Dwayne McPherson.
Well, have you, that Jenny Teal?
Bob Mills. These are all the ones that are living,
Yeah.
or were living at the time.
Yeah.
There's about 60 of them, and that's pretty good, considering.
Yes.
If there were only about 500.
You ever
total-
see that Jenny Teal or Jenny
Yeah,
Hagermeyer?
yeah, we talked to Jenny.
How is she?
Pretty good, but you know, she wouldn't come to the meetings.
Yeah, you said that before. Imagine that.
And you know, the scuttlebutt is that she had it bad for the old man. You know,
Oh?
She was in love with him.
That's
And I don't know, you know, I've had a lot of people tell me that.
right.
And she
She
worked
was
for
a
him.
smart woman.
She worked for him before and after she was married, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, she was with him at Dodge Brothers there. It's the main plant there, you know.
Stayed with him till he died. So.
That's right. That's right.
What did he do at Dodge Brothers, do you know?
He was some kind of an engineer.
Metallurgy, probably?
Yeah, I think metallurgy.
Because, you know, they say that Henry Ford offered him a job after the plant closed.
Yeah.
But who was his right-hand man? Sorensen or
Charlie Sorensen.
Sharon Sorensen?
And Will, when I would drive Will to the Ford Motor Company plant, the old man would come out there just cursing all the way back to Maryville. He would never go back with Henry Ford as long as that Sorensen was there. And that's the same thing as in the book, too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now,
They say that Sorensen was a real rat, you know.
they tell us that, maybe you can substantiate this, that he was already to go back. Henry came up to visit him one day or something and said, I think I could use you if you'd consider coming back.
Yeah.
So after a couple of years, apparently in 28, maybe when it got rough, he decided to go back. So he went back down, he called Henry, apparently, and he said, come on down, I'll have an assignment for you. Charlie will have it or whatever.
Yeah.
When he went down there, supposedly, handed him a file folder, and it was like in charge of shipping or an executive. And the old man opened the folder, supposedly, closed it, and said thanks, and walked out.
Yeah. Oh, he hated that Charlie Sorensen. I'm
Maybe
telling you.
that was the day that,
Could
that
be.
you were talking about.
It could be because he, and the old man, boys, actually, he had a hot temper, you know. But he would curse everyone. That Sorensen was, I don't know, everybody had him for him, you know. He was, well, just like that Harry Bennett, the way he took over old Henry Ford, you know. Had it right under his thumb.
Did Mr. Wills talk to you much while you were traveling?
All the
driving
time,
back and
yeah.
forth? But when you drove, did you usually take the town car with him, or?
No, I'd take a sedan or
Sedan?
a Rome, whatever he had there, yeah.
Did he usually sit in the front with you, or not?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They say he wasn't too formal.
No, he
He
wasn't.
wasn't a snob like a lot of.
Lord,
I'm sure
no.
the gals would be.
Like at Marysville, well, that'd be lame, boy. But there at Marysville, you know, I'd be washing the car, you know, and you want me to drive down to the plant, you know. I'd say, well, Kenny, don't drive your boots. I would. Right by, just don't even take my boots off. But he would like it. And he used to be a personal pal of this Phil McIntyre that owned the Blossom East Inn. Ever hear of that? Between Mount Clemens and Grosse Point Park on Lake St. Clair there. Used to be, a famous roadhouse, All the big name bands and everything. And I'd take the old man up there 2 or 3 times a week. But we'd get there, say, at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And the old man would give me 20 or 30 bucks, and tell me to go to Detroit, get a room, and then come back the next afternoon. And he'd be ready the next afternoon. Not sit out in front of the waiter and And then I would eat, they had 2 rooms, for the chauffeurs, That was a big place. Gambling up the second floor. God, it was raided about every month with the state police. Everything? Oh, man, that was famous.
What was the name of it?
Blossom East Inn.
Blossom Heath?
Blossom Heath, yeah. And the old damn know that place.
That was on Gratiot, or?
It was on Lakeshore Drive.
Lakeshore Drive.
Oh, to Mount Clemens, you go to, to the left, to Lake St. Clair. Then you follow that shore. It's about halfway between Grosse Point and Mount Clemens. What used to be Lakeside.
I wonder what's there now.
I don't know. But man, there'd be hundreds of cars lined up there, And they had 2 great big rooms just for the chauffeur to eat. And boy, we ate the same foods that the old man would eat, Beer, and there was all of that, some dry days. You could get home brew any one of the cottages around there. Hundreds of them. Boy, we'd eat steaks. And they had all the big name bands there. Glenn Gray, all the big ones, And I remember the old man, he took, of course he was loaded every time he went there. And he was up trying to play the drums one night, And God, the old man got put his foot right through it. Oh, the bass drum, But he paid the guy, and he gave him $400 or $500 to play an next hour, for his party. But there'd be the Fisher Brothers, the Walter Briggs, Rickenbacker, and all the wheels, Boy, they really had a ball.
Where did Rickenbacker live? Detroit, or?
I think he lived in Grosse Point. His factory was on Cabot Avenue, Rickenbacker Motor Car Company.
On what avenue?
Cabot, off Michigan. Yeah. You ever see one of their cars?
Yeah. They're about as rare as the Will St. Clair.
That's right. That's right.
They both got steel wheels, and I've wondered if maybe
that's right.
got that from Will's.
Might have. But that Rickenbacker was a good car. But he put him under. He came out with the 4-wheel brakes,
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
And then all the other automakers, put a lot of advertising out that they were unsafe, and all that stuff.
Right.
Well, that was a good car.
Well, Will's had the 4-wheel brakes shortly after that.
That's right. That's right.
But some of the early Wills, they say, were mechanical yet.
2-wheel mechanical, yeah.
And some they say were 2 hydraulic, 2 mechanical, and then they say they went over to all hydraulic.
Well, that little Renault car that the old man brought over from France in 1922, that had 4-wheel brakes, believe it or not.
Is that right?
Man, that's right, yeah. I don't know whatever had that little car. We had a ball with that thing. It was a smaller thing. The doggone wheels weren't that big. And the motor about this long, a little 4-cylinder. But no power at all. Wouldn't have enough power to go up a little ramp into the garage, just like so.
That little one.
Yeah.
That's quite tricky.
Tried to pay a lot of dough for that,
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
They used to go to Europe a lot.
We've got some of the papers where they filled out for passports.
Have you? Yeah.
They had distinguishing features, and they had to describe their nose and their eyes and things.
Is that right?
Really neat to hear how they did it. And then they had scars. They had the scars.
That's orange.
Yeah, they say he was a real stiff.
Oh, man. That's why I stuck with the old man. I figured I'd get a good job, just like Doug Benning did. I didn't know he was going to lose the money in the stock crash.
Yeah.
29.
Remember the old steamer Marysville?
Yeah.
The old sand sucker?
Yeah.
We got the sale papers on that. The sales.
That's right.
We sold that for $50,000 from 24. But he sold it to the Lake Gravel Company, which he owned. He had so many other little companies.
Yeah. Well, I know that when they were developing Marysville, that Wills used to charter trains, the Grand Trunk, whole range of them. And the
Bring
White
people
Star lines that they're past the woods from up the river. Three
People
trips to
to buy.
Marysville, you know, bought to buy property.
Well, you know, there were all sorts of films he made too around the city.
Yeah.
And the fellow that had tubs and tubs of these films, his name was Freddie Betts, or Beats, B-E-I-T-Z, and he had a photography shop in St. Clair.
Oh.
And Mr. Wills brought all these 35 millimeter non-safety films to him about 2 months before he died. He said, I want to put on safety film because the old nitrate disintegrates and catches fire. He died, and Harold Jr., he called him up, he says, I've got these films for your dad, what do I do with them? And Harold said, well, print them. And he said, I didn't know how to tell him that. He said, the old man said, do it. He said, I do it. He said, but what it cost me about then, he said, about $1,000 to have it done.
Yeah.
And he said, I knew Mr. Wills would pay for it. And he said, but I wasn't sure the kids were good for it.
Yeah.
And he says, so I told him, he says, hey, I can't do it unless I have something up front. And Harold said, well, then keep them. We don't want them.
You did, eh?
Well, they had everything. They had the great big speedboat. You remember that great
Well,
big
yes. Sure.
1,000 horsepower speedboat made that one trip to the moon? It had pictures of that. It had this film I'm going to show you. It had pictures of the city, pictures of the cars, everything on them. And the guy couldn't throw them out. And he kept them all these years until about 2 years ago.
Wow.
And the thing is, he tried to give them to the city 10 years ago. He walked in and he said, hey, I've got some films that are historically important. They didn't have a historical committee. Nobody wanted to take them because they're dangerous.
Yeah.
He took them back, put them in his basement, and finally he called me in. The weirdest thing, at an Elks convention or something, somebody said, well, there's this teacher in Marysville doing something on Will St. Clair. He teaches chemistry. He called the school and he says, do you want these? And I said, well, sure. And he said, I tried to give them to the city. They wouldn't take them. He says, you can come down. He says, if you promise me you'll print them, fine. So I got with the Wills family.
Yeah.
Dottie in there. She said, well, sure. So when we got down there, they had all disintegrated and turned to a dust.
Oh,
except he had 3 10-gallon buckets. And there must have been thousands of them. The old man apparently really put everything on film.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was able to be salvaged was 15 minutes into the film. And it cost us $600 to have this 12 minutes done in New York. And there are a few other real short, maybe 4-minute reels that are before he was at Marysville that came out okay, that were in a separate film can. That are of the kids. The kids are real small, like 2, 3. Well, like these pictures are taken from the other films we haven't done yet.
Oh.
And they're before he was at Marysville. They were when he was at 40.
Well, that isn't Will there, is it?
No, that's some friend of his.
Yeah, I couldn't figure who the devil it was.
He took the picture, I'm quite sure, because this is taken the same day that he is on that tricycle.
Yeah. Oh,
and that might be his wife there, but there were 2 couples and their kids. So that must be one of the Ford people. You know, but it's a shame because 5 years before he said they were good, and he had them in his basement, and he was afraid they're starting to smell. The old nitrate smells like fertilizer when it starts to go. So he took them out and put them in his garage, and of course the change in temperature got to them, and it's a shame.
Yeah, I'll say this.
10 years ago, he said you could have run any of those films. He said when I tried to give them to the city and they wouldn't take them.
But didn't the junior, he had a little dough when he died, didn't he? Did he need a little money?
Yeah, I think so. They've got more now, I think, since they're opening these new subdivisions.
Yeah.
You know, she's married again. Well,
yeah.
She married a fellow named Jordan from Diamond Crystal.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
But she's real personable, and she's helped a lot, but you know...
Yeah, she's a nice woman. I like her.
Of course, the old man was dead before they were married, so she doesn't know anything about it.
That's right.
But she's given me files and files that we're going through, and a lot of it's nothing. But every once in a while you run across something that's significant, like the invoice that shows where his secretary went 9 months without being paid, and then he advanced her a year. He paid her that 9 months and advanced her a year.
Yeah.
That was genteel.
Yeah.
A lot of the old names come up, you know, where out of petty cash he reimbursed. In fact, your name's in there quite a bit.
Yeah.
Out of petty cash, Reg Preston reimbursed for cigars, for mileage, for booze, for scotch one time.
I remember her. She was always a nice-looking girl, you know, and dark-haired.
Did you see? Well, she didn't come. She came down to the park for about a half an hour.
Did she?
But she didn't come up close, and she didn't talk to anybody. Now, see, she told me she'll talk on the phone about it. Well, her sister just died, and I think that had a effect on her, but
Does her husband die or living?
no, her husband did for a while.
Does he?
But
His name was Leonard, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
he worked for the land company or something.
Yeah, that's Leonard Gill. I remember that name. Yeah.
I thought that was her father from all the old records. Or, I mean, I thought that was his father. But I think there's two of them, so maybe one.
Yeah, her name was Kazmaier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess her dad worked at the plant too.
I think he did. I think he did.
But you know, she keeps saying, well, you know, she says I wouldn't want to live through those days again for nothing.
Yeah.
But she says, you know, there was a lot of fun. She says there were a lot of good times, a lot of bad times. But there's just something, you know, like she's not telling me.
She was very sharp, you know, very smart.
Of course, she probably knew a lot more than maybe anybody, you know. I don't know how much she would confide.
Did you say anything about me?
Oh yeah, sure, she remembers. I told her you were at the park that day that she should have come down.
Yeah.
She says, well, I did for just a little while. She says, and I stood back. She says, there were so many people. She said, and I didn't have a lot of time. She says, I figured if I come down and started talking, then I'd be there all day. And I said, well, what would have been so bad about that? You know?
Yeah.
You hadn't seen a lot of these people. She says, well, maybe the next one. And she says, when is the next one going to be? I said, well, I don't know yet. But maybe 2 years, maybe 5 years.
Yeah. Well, that Bill Hara, he had a nice collection, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
What did he keep those cars good?
Yeah. I drove that little burgundy and black Roadster 22.
Did you?
In fact, it was funny because he's all business, but he came over to me and he said, you know, he said, Franklin's are my cars.
Oh,
Those are the ones he likes the most.
Yeah.
He says, and I think Will's have got to be somewhere in the top 10. And he said, I understand that you're trying to put a history together. And he says, you know, he said, your problem is, he said, you're not old enough. He says, you should have started 50 years ago. And I said, don't I know it?
Yeah.
And he said, I'm surprised somebody didn't start at least 25 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
And I said, well, and he says, you know, he said, I'll bet you know more about the Wills than anybody living. He says, and these guys that write the books,
Yeah.
he says, I want you to know, he says, a lot of them are all wet. It was
Yeah.
really funny. He says, I've read them all, I sell them all at my museum. He said, but I'm old enough, he says, that I know.
How old a man is he?
Oh, he's 75, so he's old.
Pretty darn lively, isn't he?
He's not too good at health, though. He's awful slow. He moves awful slow.
Well, they trucked all those cars, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like the day they left the factory, man, that's beautiful.
But I'll tell you, you want to know my grandfather, Arlington Lennon, L-E-N-N-O-N. He didn't work at the plant. He worked at all the foundries. He was a sandcaster,
Really?
mold maker. But he told me, so this is how I got interested. He lived on Michigan Avenue. He was one of the first houses on Michigan Avenue, 465 Michigan Avenue.
Yeah.
And he kept saying if he ever could have afforded to buy a car, he would have bought one of those cars.
Oh, yeah.
He said, you know, he said, I had T's and A's. He said, that's about all I could afford. He said, even though I worked all during the Depression. Apparently, he could have bought one like 36, 37.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it because he was worried about the mechanical end of it.
Yeah.
A few of his friends had bought them, and he said, it was getting hard to find parts then.
Yeah, yeah.
He said,
Well, there was an outfit in Detroit that bought it, some Jewish outfit that bought all the parts up.
yeah, they bought them for the Wills and for the Rickenbacker, and I guess.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But I've got a deposit down in one in New York, and I've got to pick it up this
What's that, a car?
Will's car.
Maybe?
Sedan, 5 axles.
All right. Boy, they were some money, wasn't they?
Yeah. Light blue with black fenders. A real light blue, like a robin's egg,
Yeah.
sky blue. I think it's original paint, but I don't know. Do you remember seeing any like that? Light
Yeah, I
blue?
remember that Robin Dick blue color.
Like a powder blue? With
Yeah.
black. It needs some motor blue.
Do you want Dad advance?
No, I'll drive mine. I think they should be driven. I can't see just sitting and looking.
Oh, no.
Not every day, of course, but
You know, those, the Will Tank cars in those days, you couldn't run them over 10,000 miles on the valve grind.
yeah, that's what they say.
And you know what a valve grind would cost a Will Tank V8? $25. Imagine that.
They call that decarbonizing? Is that what they used to
Yeah,
call the valve
yeah.
jobs? Well, a lot of guys used to have 2 sets of heads, and they used to just switch them.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Because I remember the Will Tank service on line and required there. I was stocky for a while. I didn't like that inside stuff, so I got out. And they'd, like from the repair radiator, they wouldn't pull the radiator. They just stick some solder in or something, and that's it. but there's still water right out of the old tap, city water. They put it in the glass jugs, oh man. But I remember valve grind for 25 bucks. And Bob Lane worked down, he was a husky guy, And he was a good transmission man. I just get in and look right out. And he worked there for a while. In fact, I ruined him on East Jefferson. About 8 of us had a big apartment. That was right down the old black belt. Line and rewired. I remember the day the factory opened it up. And this accountant over there at the Wilson Glass sales room at 500 East Jefferson, this Frank Weingarten, he always wanted to teach me accounting, He wanted to, teach me the ropes. I never could see it.
You can see a lot of things, but
That's
drive
right.
a car.
Yeah, that's right. I've been nuts about cars since I was a kid.
Tell me, how fast? I've heard people say 100 miles an hour easy in Will's car. Is that true?
Well, I've driven 80 and 85, which I think was tops. Yeah. Because the old man, he was a speed demon, Oh, God, right from the forest. And when we'd be driving Detroit, we never had to worry about the state police, because he had a special special pass from the governor,
Oh, yeah?
one from the state police commissioner in Lansing, all that stuff.
Is that right? I didn't know they did that type of stuff.
Oh yeah, that was a long time ago, too.
Money talks, huh?
That's right. I got open that door, it's kind of hot.
Yeah, and it is. Well, let's see. Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
Hope I'm not taking up too much of your time.
No, Lord, no, we don't want to get
Oh, have you been back to Marysville with Rex quite a bit, or not, man?
No, we haven't even been to Detroit.
Is that right?
I got a little Rolling Stone. No, we get as far as Bay City, see our son there,
Yeah, he told me that.
and then West Tennessee, another son.
But you have been in Marysville.
My younger brother, he had a band in Port Huron, in Oregon,
Is that right?
when he went to high school. Well, he played the St. Clair Inn,
Mm-hmm.
and all high school kids, and by God, they were good. We used to play the Desmonds here,
The whole shop.
all the big doings in town.
This is that Cozy Inn on the left.
Yeah.
That's looking right into where your boulevard comes into the river.
Yeah.
That's see, that's where
What
the
do we
park
say?
is now. Marysville Park's right there.
Yeah.
That's the inn. Right there. That must have been where you Cozy Inn.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the dock that Will's built where he has a big boat.
For God's sake.
Is there any truth to the reason why his boat sunk? Was there a Chinese cook
They had a Japanese chef on there. He got drunk one night. Burned it up. Yeah.
and there was a monkey? Somebody told me when it burnt, the monkey floated down the river on a piece of wood and got picked up.
Is that right? Well, I know Burgess, the brother, told me about the Japanese chef getting loaded.
And supposedly there was the engineer and the chef didn't like each other, and the little oil things that you prime in the engines, you put drops of oil down in
Yeah.
That
Told them up.
no, you didn't close them up. You put gasoline in them instead of oil or something.
Oh, for God's
So when the
sake.
guy fired the engine, it just little.
Well, that would do it too. Yeah.
But apparently the cook and he fought all the time. This fellow.
Imagine.
Who was it? Somebody told me that, and he said the old man, Mr. Wills, never found out why the fire started, but that's why it started.
The hull of that lay over there in Windsor, or Sarnia, for years,
They
Years and
refloated
years.
it as a barge.
Yeah, you said that.
In fact, it's off of Beaver Island now. It's sank
Yeah.
off of Beaver
Really?
Island, supposedly. We were going to go up and try to dive on it.
Oh.
Oh, the old land company, with the old, not the first brick one, but when they moved to Pennsylvania Avenue, into one of these houses with the vault in the basement,
Oh.
do you remember that?
No?
Because they just sold that house, and the vault's still in the basement.
I did, eh?
Yep. This list of names, it says engineering and finance, and all we can figure out is that they are going to form a new company. And there's a lot of names on there we don't know anything about, but they're all prominent businessmen in Port Huron, St. Clair County, or Detroit. And we thought maybe you could help us with that. Like I know there's a Kellogg, and Kellogg's the money made, and there's a Colonel Vincent. I think he was from Packard.
Yeah.
I think he designed the Liberty engine with Mr. Wills.
I think he did.
I don't know for sure. If you recognize any of those,
Yeah.
give a holler.
Brody. BB, that's Jack BB probably.
Yeah, must be.
Oh, Tyler Baker. That Jardine is familiar.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him.
Oh, that Miller Square Deal, is that the Square Deal jeweler in Detroit?
Either
I'll bet it is.
a big land tycoon or a jeweler or something.
Well, that Miller's, it's got Square Deal there. They've been in business for years there, you know.
Is that right? He's a jeweler?
Yeah.
It was our 50th anniversary of the sport. They had a lot of the pictures reprinted from our committee in there. Mrs. Wills didn't die until a couple of years ago.
I know it. Imagine
She
that.
was 93 or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Wow.
Didn't she moved into a small place?
Yeah, in Grosse Point. I
That
was
was
just,
after we were married.
I know it.
Mhm.
I know it.
Did you ever got back and see her? Or?
I did once, yeah. She was pretty feeble. Boy, they were wonderful people. Every time they go to Europe, she brings back presents for all of them. I know she brought me back a wallet. I think it was ostrich hide. Beautiful. I had that one for 4 or 5 years ago. With gold clasp in the end, you know.
Wow,
Oh, beautiful. I think it was ostrich skin.
that's quite the deal.
Yeah.
Oh, Marysville, I don't remember that.
You've never been there, my dear, that's
I
why.
must be through there.
No, we went right straight through the 4 year on like Gratiot Avenue.
She's never ever been to Marysville?
No.
Boy, oh boy.
Well, I
Yeah,
know we've been
that-
to Courtyard
Yeah.
because
Is that Heiger's store still in? Is there
No.
a Sperry store?
Yeah.
Before you?
Hiker had a Wills Roadster, isn't there?
Yeah, Phil Heiger, I think, yeah.
No, there's no hikers at all anymore in town.
What about that Amazon Suite? Is that there?
Is it all littered glass and all that?
I don't know, it used to be right at the corner of Lapeer Avenue Military there.
Here in the military. No, that's all torn down now.
Mhm.
Well, Michigan National Bank's on this corner.
Oh.
Everything across the street is torn down. People's Bank's on the other corner.
Oh, is that right?
Diana's Sweet Shop is the only one.
Oh, that's where the old Amazon Suite used to be.
Oh, really?
You know, that Model T delivery truck there, that 26, yeah.
Oh, is that where it is?
And then right across from that was a fruit stand, Don Graziati, and he was related to Guy Lombardo.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
well, that
Who, Harry Eastman?
no, the other. He used to
Forrest Burton?
Burton.
Forrest Burton,
Is
yeah.
that from Marysville?
Or Urine. He used to work in Detroit LSU.
There was a Burton with the land company. Or is it Barlow?
Maryville?
Yeah.
Well, this is before Urine. He lived in Mount Clemens when he lived there.
Oh, I see.
And
I always thought he'd be mayor or something.
he started out being me. He was going to give me a job the same day he got one. I just got it. But I had to be around cars. Boy, not so much cars.
Some Ronnie and Karen were the same thing.
Yeah, I
Is
got
that
it
right?
soon, yeah.
So what did you do after 32 then?
Well, I went, let me see, 32.
Well, you went to the lakes.
I went to Nicholson Terminal and Dock Country, River Rouge.
Then you retired out of there.
Yeah, I quit there. I quit there to come up here and go in this rustic furniture business with my brother and dad.
Oh.
When that pulled up, I went sailing.
Then how many years did you sail?
13, 14. But I got my AB paper from the before I worked for Wills. When I was just a kid in 4 years, 1945. No, wait, now what the hell is right?
No, because Joe for Wills before 25.
Well, they made it. Oh, that can't be right. There's something screwed up with that. They had to sail 18 months. And I'd only sail about 2 weeks, you know. I don't even know how to get the AB paper. So I pulled a fast on. I just put down the different names of the boats that I'd seen in the lake, you know. The dummy didn't even check it. I got my certificate. I'd only had to sail about a month. No, but I'll take that back. When I was a kid in Mount Clemens, another kid and I skipped school. We got a job in Dodger's yacht, that $1 million Delphine, you know what I'm saying? Those ones. Only sailed about a month.
Wow.
Lower gauge, he didn't even work the papers much. I must have been about 60. That, I got on that a year after that horse died, senior died. That was an ocean going yacht. You ever
Didn't
see
go
it?
anywhere.
Yeah.
It's still around, isn't it? It made it into a subchaser during the war.
Yeah, well then they took it back to Grosse Point and they had the dock for years, then they sold it.
I think it's still around. It's in
Is it?
Florida, I think.
That thing cost $1 million.
I just read something.
They had a pipe organ on it, and they're rolling along and everything.
Well, that Will's yacht was quite a yacht.
I never saw a picture of that even.
You got some pictures there with like rattan chairs.
Oh, have
big
you?
old deck in the back.
What kind of a bow did it have on?
Real pointed, big white.
Is it? Merrill.
Yep, the Merrill.
Merrill the second, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mary and Harold.
Yeah, that's right. Long after that, the old man bought some doggone old sailboat, you know. And he and the kids were going to sail up to Tobermory or something. The guys go past Sarnia. And they're running the rocks up there. I had to go and get them, bring them back.
Is that
They're
right?
tired.
Did they ever refloat or did they just...
No, I think they got it. Oh, it was an old tub anyway. I don't know where the old man got it. But I know I had to go up in the car and get them. With all that gear.
But, you know, so they did drown.
Yeah. Then another experience there at Will, you know. The kids were always into some doggone. Like they were wild with that. I'd go out there, I had a room in my garage in uniform, a paid uniform. Mr. Will called me one day, we read what he talked about a half hour. I was in there changing my uniform, you know, like, God, that little monkeys locked me in my room. I couldn't get out. And then they took off, you know, see. And I kicked the door and hollered, one of the gardeners right there heard me let me out.
That's something we had made up for the 70th anniversary. It's got
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
different pictures.
Is Marysville your hometown?
No, I live in Port Huron. I teach music.
Oh, I see.
You were born for your?
Yeah.
Where?
My grandfather was from Marysville. My mother was from Marysville.
Oh, that way.
Your wife from Port Huron too?
Yeah. Yeah, her name was Curtis.
Oh.
Her dad's a trucker for a long, long time.
Oh, is that right? Thank God, this. Oh, when was this put out?
1970. That was for the
Oh, was it?
anniversary. That was for the 50th anniversary. 1920 it became a city or a village. 1970 of course was the 50th.
Well, that Ferris D. Stone, I remember him.
Yeah, he was with the land company.
Yeah, he was one of the founders of the plant there, too.
Yeah. And Mr. Alexander, you remember a vice president or president named Alexander?
Yeah.
How about Lee? How about it was,
John R. Lee?
Yeah, it was Will's Lee plant. for a
That's
long
right.
time.
At one time, it was Will's Lee Motor Company. And then
Where did Lee come from? Was he a Ford
he was
person?
a Henry Ford.
He was.
Yeah. Because his son, Ed Lee, was always a great friend of the Wills, you know, Mr. and Mr. Wills and the kids, you know. He lived down in the log cabin on the shore road there.
In Marysville?
Yeah. His dad evidently died, see? Ed Lee.
I wondered why Mr. Lee got out of it or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought it was after that first recession. I thought Lee took his money and run. But I really
No, I
didn't
don't
know.
think so.
You think he died?
Yeah. Well, God, that's a picture of Mr. Wills there.
Yeah, that was at the dinner. She was at the dinner.
Boy,
She wasn't
oh
in good
boy.
shape, but her and Harold were there.
Imagine that. Look. That's Junior and Mr. Wills.
Yeah.
Well, which one of us that come on the boat?
The
Oh.
Junior here.
That would be Junior and his wife, Dottie.
Yeah. God sake. Geez, that's her. She used to be a beautiful woman, you know.
Yeah.
That's what they
That's
say.
all.
Oh, man. Hell, I wouldn't even recognize her.
They all talk about that Will Chauffeur, though.
Yeah.
Oh, what a stud he was.
Yeah, that's right.
Really?
You know, I run across, God, that's sure, that was interesting. You know, I ran across a doggone sketch of Junior when he was about 9 years old, taken out of the old Judge magazine. He sketched a naked woman, you know. He signed his name. Remember that one I had? C.H. Will, C.H. Will Jr., 1926. Remember? And I mailed it to him.
Oh,
You
I
know,
was going to say,
yeah.
what happened to it? How old was he then?
About 9.
Taking after the old man, probably.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you,
Well,
those were...
I'll take that. Mr. Will, I wouldn't even recognize. She was a beautiful one, though. And so was that sister, like her do that, Mr. Frank Lee Book, you know.
No, the books were probably still around. I'll have to...
Yeah. There was a Frank P. book and the Burgess book and one more. They had great big mansions up at those points there. Windmill Point. Beautiful. And one Burgess book, he went broke, I think, because they auctioned his place off there. And some Greek bought it. The guy that bought that was that Helen, H-E-L-I-N, tackle, fishing tackle.
Oh,
Navy Sergeant, he bought that bridge, looked like. No, he bought that in the creek, but still picture.
now, well, I wonder which book was in accounting of Mr. Will.
And I don't know what's going on. Ferris D. Stone, and John R. Lee, and A.H. Foreman, he was superintendent there.
When they first started.
Yeah.
Do you remember dealers coming into the plant and driving cars away? Like
Yeah.
New York and that?
Yeah.
They say they used to have a lot of driveaways.
They did.
Bring in 2 or 3 of their salesmen and drive.
That's right, that's right. That's the only way, they could ship them. Well, we allowed it.
But did those, when they shipped the cars by water, they didn't come into Marysville dock, did they? Steve?
Yeah, they loaded Marysville.
Oh,
Sure.
really? That dock?
Well, there was a dock right there, White Star Dock.
Well, I know he built that, Mr. Wills built that great big dock.
Yeah, well, there's a bigger dock than that, though.
At the end of the street.
Yeah, White Star.
There was a bigger one than that.
Yeah.
So I didn't think the water was deep enough for them to load there. Must have been, though, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah, that was a good size dock there. Because the old Tazewell used to dock there every day.
Oh, really? Right
In
there?
the Puddin' Bay and 8 or 10 of them, yeah.
Oh, I always thought that was down St. Clair or further north.
No, they stopped at every town.
That's good to know. Would it be right at the foot where Huron Avenue went into the river?
Yeah,
Around?
Jimmy is right at the foot of Huron Avenue. Right the other side, towards Fort Union from that Jimmy Hartman's place. Big place. Boat living.
Just a little north.
Yeah, towards south.
Well, that'd be right at the end there, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you, are you ready to see the film?
yeah. Mm-hmm. You got a screen?
Nope.
Right.
Oh, there it is. They ran that in the Times Herald a couple of weeks ago. It's myself, one of my students.
Uh-huh.
Last time you saw me, I had a beard, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. I didn't recognize it.
I asked Reg, I said, you remember what he looked like? He had a beard. That could have been wrong, though.
Yeah, right. I had that until
Well,
about
that's
2
pretty
months.
good.
But it's made out of 3/4-inch seamless pipe,
Uh-huh.
and we've got a big gasket from the rubber company and hex bolts. Machine shop made it
Yeah.
up. Then it's going to be buried in a concrete baby vault, guaranteed 100 years.
Oh, for crying out
It's
loud.
going to be buried in front of the city hall there.
Is it? Yeah.
We're going to open it in 50 years for the 250th celebration, and they're going to open it in 99 years
Uh-huh.
on July 4th for the tricentennial. So forth. But
Will you guys,
yeah, we'll be out. Well,
Did you know C. Harold Lewis Jr.?
yeah,
Did you?
not too well. I talked to him a few times, but he didn't want to talk.